Willful murder by person or persons unknown.
Wait, they're not drinking that. Looks Grove Kensington Industries, Cabbage.
Yes.
Gentleman to see you, Doctor.
Is it an urgent matter?
I don't know, Doctor.
Or did he give you his card?
No, Doctor.
Ivy, if I've told you once, I've told you 100 times, my consulting hours are plainly displayed outside. Now, please.
Oh, sir.
Dr. Watson, is it?
Yes, indeed, sir. You may go, Ivy. I am exceedingly busy, sir.
Yeah, of course you are, Doctor. Of course you are a man of considerable responsibilities. But I heard you give your address to that cab driver outside the court, and I said to myself, I'll just hobble around and see that kind gentleman. See, I have a conscience. And tell him that if I was a little gruff in my manner, I meant no harm by it, and I'm much obliged to him for helping me pick up my books.
You make too much of a trifle, sir. You should have spared yourself the journey. Now, if you'll excuse me.
No great journey, sir. I am a neighbor of yours. You will find my little bookshop on the corner of Church Street. May I sit down? Very happy to see you, I'm sure, Doctor. Perhaps you collect? I have British birds, Catullough, and quite a rare volume of the Holy War. Bargains, every one of them. Just the books you need to fill up your bookcase. Give it a little weight. It does look a little untidy, does it not?
Watson, do you mind if I smoke a cigarette in your consulting room? A thousand apologies, my dear Watson. I had no idea that you'd be so affected.
Does it really? Can it really be that you're alive?
But are you really fit enough to discuss things? I've given you a serious shock by my unnecessarily dramatic reappearance.
No. I'm all right. I'm all right. But indeed, Holmes, I can hardly believe my eyes. Good heavens, to think that you, of all men, should be here in my consulting room. Well, you're not a spirit, at least, my dear chap. I'm overjoyed to see you. Sit down. And tell me how you came alive out of that awful chasm.
Oh, I'm glad to stretch myself. It's no joke when a tall man has to take a foot off his stature for several hours on end. Oh. Oh, my dear fellow, we have a hard and dangerous night's work ahead of us. Perhaps it'd be better if I gave an account of the whole situation when that work is finished.
No. I'm full of curiosity. I should much prefer to hear now.
But you will come with me tonight.
When you like, where you like.
Ha! Ha! Watson. This is just like the old days. You might have a chance for a mouthful of dinner before we need go.
Dinner, of course, but first, you must tell me everything.
You sure you're all right?
I'm fine.
Well, then. About that chasm. I had no serious difficulty in getting out of it for the simple reason that I was never in it.
You were never in it?
No, Watson. I never was in it. The note that I left on the rock at the Reichenbach Falls was absolutely genuine. I had little doubt that my career had come to an end, and I perceived the somewhat sinister figure of Moriarty standing upon the narrow pathway that led to safety. I read an inexorable purpose in his gray eyes. I managed to obtain his courteous permission to write the note, which you afterwards received.
It has remained my most treasured possession.
It was a few months later that I read with great interest your description of my death. It was excellently done, a most picturesque and exciting piece of fiction.
Well, I'm certainly glad from the bottom of my heart that it was fiction. But what did really happen?
When I reached the ledge, I stood at bay. He drew no weapon, but rushed at me and threw his long arms round me. He knew that his game was up and was only anxious to revenge himself upon me. I have, however, some knowledge of baritsu, or the Japanese system of wrestling, which has, on more than one occasion, been very useful to me.
My God. But how did you get away from that place?
It was not a pleasant business. Even as Professor Moriarty disappeared into oblivion, it struck me what an extraordinary lucky chance fate had placed in my way. I knew that at least one of Moriarty's henchmen would seek my demise now, with even keener determination to revenge their dead leader. But if I could convince the world that I too was dead. So I decided to disappear, then and there.
Heavens above. But the tracks, Holmes. I saw them with my own eyes. 2 went down the path and none returned.
I'm not a fanciful person, Watson. But I give you my word, there were times during that climb when I seemed to hear Moriarty's voice screaming at me from out of the abyss. At last, I reached a place where I was able to remain unseen. From my concealed place, I watched you and your followers investigating in the most sympathetic and inefficient manner the circumstances of my death. At last, when you had all formed your inevitable but totally erroneous conclusions, you departed. It was time for me to be on my way.